What's up, Pisces? This is Jesse with 44 Astro with a general full moon tarot reading for the full moon coming up on April 23rd. It's going to be at 7:48 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be at 4 degrees Scorpio, which will put it in the 17th mansion of the moon. 17th mansion is all about stability, both in love and in financial matters. You can read about it. The astrology kind of supports that too, because whilst the moon is in Scorpio, the sun is in Taurus, and they're opposite each other. So this is the aspect of materiality or security with Taurus, mine, versus Scorpio, which is more about shared resources and transformation. Ours, how we use this to transform us both. And they also, of course, Scorpio also rules inheritances, so that's about the sharing of resources. They are both square Pluto. So power is going to be kind of an issue here. Power, sex, transformation, the occult. And if you are a Pisces ascendant, this will be affecting your 8th or 9th house. The 8th house is the house of Scorpio. So you may be looking into occult matters as a way to use them for power, to bring them to light, to have power. Or if it's your 9th house, you could be changing your philosophy on life. You may even want to travel, decide to uproot, decide to use your material goods and your material resources to go out and explore the world, or to have a new philosophy on life and not worry about just being financially stable. Though there's nothing wrong with being financially stable, and some of you may choose that, to be financially stable, or to use those resources, like I said, to even learn a new language, to travel, to learn new things, to seek out greater wisdom. If it's your 8th house, it could be the power struggle of sex, and sex is a struggle of power, make no mistake. And it can be used as a tool for power. It just depends. But that's, again, if you're a Pisces ascendant. And to know your ascendant, you need to know your natal chart, which means you need to know exactly what time you were born, what date, and where. Oh, right there wants to stop. And the ascendant changes approximately every 2 hours, so you really need to know almost down to the minute if you want to have any kind of accuracy. I'm talking about material stuff, and the first 2 cards out are Pentacles, so when aren't we focused on money, right? It's just the way life is. Got to grind that money. Well, you got a nice card on the bottom here, the Empress. It's a very abundant card. It could be a very pregnant card too. Take time to breathe out. Some of you may not be taking enough time. You may just be maybe you're worrying about a lot of things. You have a lot of responsibilities. You're not taking any time for yourself. That can be dangerous, because then you can start feeling bad. And if you feel bad, you're going to reflect that out. It's going to situations that are going to promote that in you are going to happen around you. You don't want that. So you need to take time to make sure you're dealing with your own emotions, your own thoughts, your own health. The core of the reading has to do with an earth sign, or the aspect of materiality in and of itself. So financial stability or foundations, like I was talking about, crossed by opportunity. Some kind of slow movement or opportunity in money. So you may be trying to be financially stable and secure, and there's some kind of opportunity that's crossing you here, which is very supportive. Those two things support each other. But saying you need to take some time. If you're not in the right mentality, the right emotional state, the right physical state, you're going to have a hard time being financially secure, because you're not going to feel good. And if you don't feel good, trust me, the world around you is going to reflect that feeling that you're vibrating out right back to you. And it's going to create situations around you that support that, and you don't want that. You want this mechanism to vibrate, to have the frequency and the energy that you want, that supports what you want in life. That's your power right here. And if you have to vibrate a specific way, think a specific way. And if you give that out, then the power, the vibrations around you will react, and they will reflect to support that energy within you. Be the change you want to see in the world. You're crowned by being established. Right? This is someone who is behind him. He's got the fertile soil in front of him. It's barren soil. These are growing out of the ground because he's established himself. Someone that can be counted on to accomplish something. But with that being said, you don't need to take on too much at one time. You need to take time to breathe out. Behind you, something big happened. In the recent past, some kind of big change. Maybe you lost a job or changed from a big job. Maybe you moved house. Something big happened in the recent past. Some kind of big occurrence. At least as it goes to a life of something big happened. Could be good too. Doesn't have to necessarily be bad. But most of the time when we have big changes, it generally involves like moving, job, things along those lines. Maybe even a spiritual experience. Sometimes those kind of things happen. You're battening down the hatches. It's like now you're going to be very defensive. Whatever the situation happened in the recent past, it's got you defensive. You're very worried about all these other stabs coming at you. So you're like, I'm ready. Like your perception has been altered. So something is on your mind or on your heart, and you're very worried about something happening. And because of that, it's altering the way you think, feel, and act. And if that's the case, that's not healthy. You don't want anything to be controlling the mechanism. If it's any situation, any occurrence that happened, and it's steering the way you feel and think, then you're not in control. Because if you were in control, what you're going to want to do is you're going to think constructively, you're going to think positively, you're going to feel positive, you're going to feel like the situation is going to work out in your favor, and you're going to act accordingly. But if you're not in control, you're going to be sad, oh, poor me, you're going to feel bad, all these things, you're going to be worried and anxiety. And if that's steering your life, you're not in control. You want to vibrate in a specific way. You don't want it based on fear or worry. Because if you do, the things that are going to occur around you, the universe is going to reflect that energy that you're giving out right back to you. And it's going to be in random situations that promote that type of energy. Because that's what you're giving out. Especially if things are repressed in the unconscious. Then that means you're not even aware of them. And if you're not aware of them, you're not whole. You're not the complete version of yourself. And therefore, you cannot fine-tune the mechanism if you wanted to anyway. So you have to be very open specifically with yourself, because that's where your power lies. That means knowing what you're capable of, admitting things to yourself that are harsh even, and working through them and giving them their place, because they are part of you. They don't have to be the dominating factor, but they are part of you. You've thought them, you felt them, something's happened to you. And it isn't anybody else's business how dark your thoughts may get, or the things you dream about, or any of that. But as long as you don't repress it and keep it, and you do have dialogue within yourself, and you acknowledge it and integrate it, it has no reason to like manifest around you in some random situation to try to force you to feel it and acknowledge it, because that's how it works, and that's what will happen. So if you're feeling defensive, situations are going to come around you in your life that are going to force you to be defensive, because the powers that be are going to reflect it back. That's what they think you want. So you have to fine-tune the mechanism. You have to change the pattern, the cycle. Everything works in cycles. The moon, the seasons, the solar system. We are a creature of patterns and cycles. We are a little solar system. So you have to start feeling and thinking a specific way. It doesn't just change like that. You have to work on it conscientiously. And the more you do, the more you will alter the pattern. And once the pattern alters and your vibration and frequency and energy alters, over time, it will change the stimulus that's reflected back to you. And situations that promote that new version of you will be there. If you're like, hey, if I was a super rich person, I'd be super generous. And if you want to be a rich person, then guess what? You should start being generous right now in every way that you can be. Because now you've convinced yourself that that's what you as a rich person has to be. So in order for you to become that, you have to live it now. That's why it's so difficult to manifest like this law of attraction things they talk about. Because there's so much that goes on within the psyche of an individual, the feelings of an individual, and even just the random stimulus around you that make you act in a certain way, that can alter all of these energies within you. So unless you're very conscientious of it and you know how to alchemize any situation, and also you have to be fully open, both the light and dark aspects of yourself, the unconscious and the conscious have to be apparently working in your life. And it's obvious when the unconscious is working too. That's what the synchronicities are. That's what the dreams are. That's what the serendipitous situations are. That's the unconscious speaking. That's how you know it's open and working. But you have to acknowledge it and understand what it's trying to tell you, so that it doesn't need to create a situation around you. And you want to be whole. And you want to know what you're capable of as a human being. The the darkest evil as well as the greatest good within you. You want to know exactly what you're capable of as a human and be honest with yourself. It ain't nobody else's business. Just as long as you know, that means you're going to be more whole. And that way you can use the mechanism better. And be conscientious of every thought you have about everything and your feelings about them. You right now, you're feeling like you're having to give a lot. Or you're struggling with balance, or you're trying to figure out the balance of give and take in your life right now, whether that be in a relationship or whether that be in your work life. It's saying you need to take time. You're not taking time for yourself. You may be completely outwardly focused right now, trying to do everything for everybody else and not taking time for yourself. And if you're gonna, the mechanism, this bio mechanism that you have is very sophisticated. There's a lot that goes on in it, and it takes to be a good operator of it. You have to have a great understanding. And everyone is unique. Only you can understand your mechanism, and therefore only you can fine-tune it. No one's going to do it for you. No one's going to save you. That's not how it works. You can have good mirrors around you that reflect the things that you admire and that you look for. Like I say, if you're hanging around 4 billionaires, you're going to be the next one. That's true because it's already reflected all around you, right? So it's going to manifest because it's reflecting, and you're reflecting. You're going to absorb that, right? You got to be the change you want to see in the world. You're feeling stuck. Got to take time. In your environment, you're feeling stuck. It's also seeing a new perspective. So if you're feeling stuck, you need to see it in a different way. Because if you feel stuck, the manifestation around you is going to be something that makes you feel stuck. Because that's how you're feeling and thinking. If you flip the perspective and get a new perspective, then it will change too. Over time, though, it has to be done over time. But it can be done. It's not easy because your own thoughts influence it. And the definitions and the things that you believe, your faiths. That's why faith is so important. The things you believe. It will manifest in the way that you believe it. You will create it unconsciously, if not consciously. It's just saying take charge. This is the advice. And it's telling you exactly what I'm telling you. You've got to take control of the mechanism. You have to be the one. Only you can do for you. You don't need anyone, believe it or not. It's good to have people around you. We don't want to be lonely. We're social creatures by nature. But in the truth, you don't need anyone to fix your mechanism. You have to do it. It's good if you can have someone that can reflect what you admire or what you feel are the proper attributes for who you want to be. If you can be around, that's why it's good to have like a mentor, because they're reflecting the attributes that you admire. And therefore, they're going to help you become it, because it's vibration and frequency and interaction. So in this situation, you're going to have to take charge. I mean, it's an inside job, and only you can go inside. Because the outcome has got you focusing on the negative. You got to take control of the mechanism. Focus on them 2 cups behind you instead. And you can do that. The 2 cups are there. Focus on what you do have in your life, what is going good for you, not the things that you don't have or whatever situation happened in the past. This big situation is keeping you drawn to it. If you keep focusing on that, you're going to keep being reminded of it because it's going to think that's what you want. You don't have to like forget it or block it out. That's not how it works. It has to be acknowledged. But the way you think about it and feel about it. Like if somebody passed, like somebody that died, when you remember them, or you only think, oh, they're dead, they're gone, blah, blah. Or you're going to be someone that's like, man, the good times I had with that individual, I was blessed to have them in my life. I love them. And think about how good they made you feel. And then that's going to change the vibration that you give out, and therefore the reflection is going to change. It's just a simple example. But that's the difference of focusing on the spilt cups versus the full cups. And it's not something you're going to be able to do overnight. So me sitting there saying, oh, focus on the positive. Yeah, it's easy to say that. But it's far more, because we're a very complicated mechanism. We're a very complicated biomachine. There's a lot that goes on in here. So you have to understand the machine. That's what the self-work is. Know thyself. The oracles of Delphi, it was on the capstone or the sign going in. Know thyself. That's the key. The wholeness of self. That's the only way you can tune the mechanism, because you have to know the whole mechanism. It's a lot of work. And even your own thoughts can alter it. If you believe something is this way, then now it's that way. And if you decided that this thing that you want to be has to be this way, now you have to be that now if you want to accomplish it. So that's what I'm saying. So the more emphasis you focus on it and alter it, like it has to be this, has to be this, has to be this, the harder it's going to be to accomplish. Because now you have to embody all these things. KISS, keep it simple, stupid. So if like the more simple you keep it, just a couple attributes that you feel like you should be to be that, then it's easier to accomplish and be those. Because the more complicated, the more focus you put on it, the more complicated and the more complexities you're putting into it. So there's going to be more things that you're going to have to embody. So it becomes more complicated. And therefore more difficult to manifest. But you first got to just start with the being. You got to start with opening yourself up to the conscious and unconscious. Being brutally honest with yourself, really stepping forward. That's what it's saying. Take time to breathe out. You really got to focus on you and give it some time and open up. Whatever this happened in the past, don't let it keep you down. You have to take control of the situation and be the change. Easy to say, it's a whole another thing to do. Either way, I believe you can do it, Pisces. I know you can. I've done it, so I know it can be done. Okay, that being said, that's all I have, Pisces. Please consider liking, subscribing, and commenting. Comments specifically will help push the algorithm to push the video forward. I really need to get more watch hours. That's what I'm lacking right now. I need a lot of watch hours in order to get monetized, and so I can really invest in this channel, and so I'll actually believe that I can succeed at it. Because of right now, I'm still lacking. With that being said, you don't have to if you don't want to. I'm just grateful for the view, and I'm grateful that you're here. And I hope to see you here again, Pisces. Happy full moon.